Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Hope you guys are all having a fantastic day. Today's upload is going to be about the winter storm that is leaving watches all the way from Washington to all the way to western Illinois. So this is a very expansive storm. It's a cross-country runner. It is going from one end of the country to the other end of the country. Soon there will be some advisories posted for the Northeast, but right now those are winter storm watches. These are winter storm warnings, winter weather advisories, very high wind warnings. It's almost a blizzard in some locations, so very interesting. It's a very massive snowstorm. So I'll be mainly focusing on the Midwest section of this part of the storm in this video, but maybe I will be also focusing on some parts of the West. If you like these type of videos, if you like my updates, consider subscribing, clicking that subscribe button, and that is the one that's down below. If you like it, if you like this video, if you like my channel, consider doing so. It helps my channel grow. So thank you for that. So let's quickly actually go back to the NAM 12KM, and let's go back to the older one because the new one is just coming in and I don't have time later to make a video, so I would have waited for this one to come in, but they just keep coming in new model runs, so it would just be a constant cycle. So I mean, I could show you what the new one is going out to. It's going out to 21 hours compared to the previous one. It's maybe a little bit further to the north with the new run, but that's I think we'll need to still see what happens. And you can see the NAM isn't as vigorous with this storm, or at least it's not showing that it's that vigorous with the storm as some of the other models. It is showing a fairly heavy snow stripe developing across the Midwest with Kansas City, Missouri, Iowa, northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin, cities like Chicago, Madison, Milwaukee, Des Moines, Iowa, Kansas City, Wichita, Topeka could be all under the gun for this. And you can see it sends out a fairly heavy band of snow. This is somewhere around 2 o'clock in the afternoon Sunday. It is snowing fairly heavily and then moves off into the Northeast. And some people are saying that this could redevelop here in the Northeast. We don't know. We will need to watch that later on. But the NAM is leaving quite some hefty snowfall totals, even though it may not look like it. You can see all the way from the west, it's leaving over 2 feet of snow in some locations, and then here somewhere around 6+ inches of snow, but under a foot. So this could definitely be a major snowstorm for many locations, the first one. And if you were to look at, Chicago would be under the gun according to the NAM. Kansas City would be under the snowfall. Madison and Milwaukee, Wisconsin, maybe not so much. Des Moines, Iowa would probably get 4 to 5 inches of snow, but this is just one model, so it doesn't mean that this one's going to be accurate or right. There's a bunch of other models that we all need to look at. And even northeastern parts of Kansas could be seeing some significant snow totals. This is just the NAM model. Let's now look at the GFS, and this GFS is the new one that came out, 12Z, and it has it further to the north. Not by much, but it's definitely further to the north enough to make an impact on cities like Madison and Milwaukee. Those two cities here would be absolutely clobbered by this snowstorm in these areas if the GFS were right, and northern Michigan would also be fairly heavily impacted by this storm. Des Moines, Iowa would be seeing around 8-9 inches of snow compared to the other NAM model where they were seeing 4 to 5. Kansas City, Wichita, Topeka would be not really seeing much snow at all in here, these areas. Maybe a dusting, especially in northern sections. Nebraska, 4, 5, 3 inches, but the main snow seems to be falling in these areas according to the GFS. But now, looking at the GFS, this is the previous run. You can see it was further to the south. This is the run before that, further to the south. It was all over the place. It was it's really not deciding, and it actually shifted the snow band with its latest run back up to the north, while the European, which was earlier further to the north, is now further to the south. So you gotta understand, guys, this is an insanely tricky forecast. This snow band, what makes this hard is this snow band is very heavy with lots of moisture and heavy snow. And now, whether the storm track shifts a couple of miles, this could mean the placement of this thing could shift quite a bit. And with that heavy snow being shifted further mile to the north or a couple miles to the south, that can mean major cities like Milwaukee, Madison, Des Moines, or Chicago, Kansas City, Wichita getting impacted by this. These locations here, Nebraska, South Dakota, I would say it was fairly at this point set in stone that you will be seeing a fairly widespread 3 to 4 inches. Because if you were to look at the GFS, it doesn't really much change out in here. Maybe a little bit further to the south, to the north, but it's generally this track right here, this little swath of snow that is shifting. Let's look at the CMC, which is a Canadian model. It's many meteorologists' favorite model. I do like it for the systems that come out of the north because it gets a head start. It's a Canadian model. It takes the systems from the north and gets a little head on with them, gets a little bit advantage from them. So this time around, the system won't be coming from the north, but we still like to look at it. Again, it has it similar to the GFS, a little bit further to the north. If we were to look at this previous tracks, you could see this one was further to the south, this one was further to the north, this one was same place, this one was not even showing anything. So this is interesting how these models have been shifting. You could see with the latest model runs. If we were to look at the rain, MSLP, precip, rain/frozen, this has actually quite a bit of rain mixing in with this. Just Canadian model and the GFS have quite a bit of rain and warm air in it, causing that rain rather than that snow. So again, very heavy snow is very likely at this point. We are going to be seeing some fairly high snowfall totals, especially with this banding that will be going on. But you can see they try keeping this warm air in here in the eastern Illinois, eastern Wisconsin area for much longer than their other models, obviously producing less snow and more of a rain event. If we go, I already showed you the total snowfall. So now let's go to the European model. The European model, in many people like the European model over the GFS. I preferably like the European also, but I don't dislike the GFS as some people do. I've been getting several comments about how people really dislike the GFS, but in my opinion, it's not as bad of a model as some people think it is. We go to the, this is just a total snowfall accumulation. So next 3 days, next 5 days, this encompasses the whole storm. And again, it does have it in this general vicinity, but areas like Madison would not be getting much snow. Des Moines, Iowa would not be getting much either, just 1 inch. Kansas City would be getting quite a bit of snow. Chicago, Illinois would be getting quite a bit of snow with this as well. So again, this is a fairly interesting scenario, very difficult to forecast though. We're looking, again, the European model is fairly confident along with the GFS and the Canadian that Nebraska, northern Kansas, and southwestern South Dakota will be getting at least anywhere from 2 to 5 inches, localized maybe a little bit more. But it's mainly this swath of snow that is causing so many issues, and it is actually causing a very big mayhem. So this will occur Sunday into Monday, and this will start somewhere around Sunday 11 o'clock in the morning, for depending on where you live, but I would say anywhere east of this line will start at around, should start after 9 o'clock Sunday. Somewhere here would be 12 o'clock Sunday. In this area would be around Sunday evening into Monday, the snow. But again, that is if that snow transition happens faster, sooner, and we need to see what actually occurs. So if we go to the watches and warnings, which I showed you at the beginning of the video, the National Weather Service actually had this whole area for winter storm watches, and you can see that they're also switching and alternating their forecast and adjusting their forecast to the actual models, what they're predicting, because you can see they degraded these parts of the woods to the winter storm advisories or winter weather advisories from a winter storm watch. So let's just click on a fairly large city like Hastings, Nebraska. And if we were to look at this, they're seeing, again, this is going to be a little bit earlier because they're further out to the west. Saturday night into Sunday for them, and 1 to 3 inches Saturday night and maybe an inch Sunday. But again, that mixing of that rain and snow will be still a possibility and a fairly big problem. I mean, look, Saturday will be 53 in some of these areas. Right now, they're saying 62 degrees. That is very warm conditions. So this is going to be tricky to forecast. Further off to the east, I think somewhere in southeastern Iowa they will get the brunt of this. We go to, say, south of Ottawa, and they're forecasted to see, you could see, 4 to 8 inches Sunday, Saturday night. I don't know if I think they're just going to see rain, and then into Sunday night they could also see maybe a couple inches, but mainly Sunday for these areas. There was a nice map graphic that I wanted to show you. I think it was right over here. So early look at the potential snowfall. You could see that these areas look at this point to be the greatest in the greatest amount of snowfall to receive, but this could, like the European model showed, shift down to the south, or like the GFS showed, shift to the north. At this point, the brunt of the snowfall would occur anywhere from Cedar Rapids, Quad City, Burlington, Illinois, Sterling, Illinois, Freeport, Illinois, Dubuque, Iowa, Waterloo, Iowa, would see the lesser amounts, and Kirksville, Missouri. Anywhere in those areas, if you live in any of those cities, I would start getting prepared because even though if it does shift, these cities at this point will most likely see this heavier snowfall and the brunt of the storm. One last thing I would like to show you before we go is the pivotal weather Kuchera snowfall ratios. These may be a little bit more accurate. I'd like to show you the GFS and the NAM snowfall totals. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the European model on this, and the reason I'm showing you this is because the Kuchera snowfall ratios may give you a little better estimate of the snowfall totals that may fall. So let's go through this. This is the GFS. The same placement will be most likely there, but again, if we were to look at their, let's go to regions and let's zoom in on these areas that are here in the Midwest. So in general, still somewhere around 8 to 9 inches in the highest snowfall amounts, but this may give you a little better estimate because it's going to be wetter snow, so the snowfall ratios may be a little bit lower, maybe 8-to-1 rather than a 10-to-1, which will give you more snow. Still fairly hefty amounts of snow with the GFS, but again further to the north. And now with the NAM model, I would like to show you the snowfall totals again, so let's go through this in time. The snowfall totals are fairly hefty again, but a little bit further to the south. So very similar to the ones I showed you. I just still wanted to give you a little better perspective on these. So hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully you learned something new. Consider subscribing. Consider liking the video. And I'll catch you all guys in the next episode. See ya. Bye.